Okay, we're right on time, so I'm going to start off by welcoming Miranda Brown from Albright College. Miranda is the Associate Director of Athletics there, as well as the head of men's and women's tennis. My name is Laura Lewis. I'm the Associate Director of Olympic Sports at First Point USA. I'm going to be hosting tonight, and Miranda is going to answer our questions. I would invite those that are participating tonight and those that are listening to use the conversations function, which should be on the left of your screen. You can type in your questions at any point. I may save those for the end, or I may ask those throughout the webinar tonight. So you're very welcome to do that. I should also let you know that we're recording tonight, so feel free if you don't want to take notes or anything like that. We will be recording and we will provide that to you afterwards. Okay, so first off, Miranda, I wondered if you could tell us a little bit just about Albright College, just in terms of the campus location and what the college is known for.
Yeah, absolutely. So first off, thank you everybody for being here. I appreciate your time. So Albright, we are located in Reading, Pennsylvania, and I love our location. I think it's a really fun place for a young person to be. We are about an hour outside of Philadelphia, 2.5 hours outside of New York City, Washington, D.C. as well, and then about an hour and a half from Baltimore. So you have a lot of major cities right like at your fingertips. Now, the city of Reading has over 100,000 people in it. So, there's a lot of things here as well that you can do. There's festivals, concerts that come through. But if you ever did get the itch to kind of get out of the city of Reading and go to some of the most major cities in the country, there are trains and buses that go, as well as when you make friends on campus, hitch a ride with them. But yeah, and of course we're close to the mountains and the beach as well, so it's a really central location. And then for international students specifically, just being that close to major cities, it's easy to fly in and out, honestly. So yeah, in terms of the college, so we have 1,600 students, undergraduate on campus, and then we have a graduate school program as well. So we're not an enormous campus or anything like that, but honestly, it's a very welcoming campus, friendly atmosphere, and it's the size where not everyone is going to know everything about you all the time. Like, you can maintain your privacy, but you're able to make those friends and connections pretty easily. And your professors are going to know who you are. You're going to have those close relationships with them, of course, your teammates, but then, like I said, the student body in general, and the rest of our staff here on campus. Like, you're not just a number. Majors that we're known for, I mean, we have a pretty expansive list, but like biology, really anything within the sciences, the field of education, business is huge. That's probably our second most popular one. Criminal justice, psychology, and then we have a really renowned fashion program as well. But honestly, any of our programs are good. Those are just the most popular ones that is filled with our campus.
Very good. So tell us a little bit more about what you do on a day-to-day basis as both the Associate Director of Athletics as well as Head of Tennis.
Yeah, so I'm actually second in command of the athletics department. So, I am obviously very focused on my role as a tennis coach, but I'll get more into the program later. But like some other things that I help athletes with, as well as my players, is compliance. How do we keep you eligible to compete? Things like that, seasons of eligibility. And then I handle game management operations, which is kind of fun because we get to really enhance game day atmosphere and stuff for all the sports here, not just tennis, which we are a big athletics school. Yes, we care a lot about our academics as well, but there's a great balance between both academics and athletics, and all the sports teams kind of come out and support each other. So like we'll have like lacrosse players come out to our tennis matches, or swimmers, or like we go and support one another. So that's fun, marketing, things like that.
Very good. And what are the big sports on campus other than tennis? What are your bigger sports?
Football, so American football. And then we have soccer, men's and women's lacrosse, field hockey, wrestling, golf, and then esports. So that's a fun one. They do a good job. We added women's stunt which is kind of like cheerleading and gymnastics mixed together. So that's another really, really fun event. And then let's see, I'm trying to think if there's, we offer 24 total sports. So there's a lot, or 24 teams, I should say.
Okay. And athletically, you compete in NCAA Division 3. Do you want to tell us a little bit more about that? What is unique about Division 3? How might it compare to Division 1 and 2? And what's the kind of coaching provision and facilities that you have for your athletes there?
Absolutely. So the big thing with Division 3 is really the difference between the divisions is overall focus and philosophy. So Division 3 is very much about, you are a student first, athlete second. Now, not too far second. You come to any Division 3 school, like with the sport you're playing, it's taken seriously, it's a commitment. But you are in school to get that degree, and we want you to do well in the classroom as well as on the tennis court type of thing. So if you are a student that wants that balance between your academics and your athletics, Division 3 is a perfect fit because you're able, we help you balance that your time between both things, okay, which takes a lot of stress off of students, honestly. Now that being said, a lot of people, when they hear Division 3, they think, oh, there's no athletic scholarships, like they're going to be expensive. So I don't want you to think that. So the big thing is there's scholarships and stuff available. The difference is it just doesn't have an athletic tag. All right. So when I'm working with athletes, international athletes, like we've come back cheaper than Division 1, Division 2 schools. Honestly, the big difference between the other two divisions is, again, the balance with your academics and your sport. Just it's not as easy sometimes. And then the fact that, yes, technically any money that you're given, some of it could have an athletic scholarship tag, whereas ours doesn't. But it doesn't mean that we're not giving you more aid, so to speak.
Yeah, okay. And you spoke about the scheduling and the time management between athletics and academics. So do you want to speak specifically about tennis then, and what does the training look like in terms of the months of training across the year versus then the competition, and how is it all balanced together?
Of course. Yeah, so we have a fall season and a spring season. So the fall is a little bit shorter. We're out there for usually 6 or 7 weeks or so, full force plan matches and tournaments. So during that time, so it's usually the end of August, so right when you would come in, starting your freshman year, and then going until about the middle of October, playing, like I said, matches and tournaments. And we are on court 5 or 6 days a week. Honestly, if we had a lot of training and a lot of matches, I might give you that extra rest day, which is why I said 5 or 6, days per week. Yeah. But yeah, so, and on top of that, you would have strength and conditioning twice a week as well. Now you can absolutely go and work out on your own more than that, but the team lifts are twice a week with our strength coach that works directly with tennis. And then from there, so once the middle of October kind of hits and we wrap up our fall season, we do enter the off season. And so Division 3 does have a little bit of a different rule where we're governed by a specific number of days that we can train with our teams. Now, it is a lot. So we have captain's practices that happen during this off season. So you're still training, okay, getting that, drills and match play and stuff in with your teammates. But in terms of the number of days that I can be out there with you guys, so what I do is I hold small group training. Multiple times a week. I send out an Excel spreadsheet and you guys can sign up for those. And it's usually anywhere from 2 to 4 people out there with me and my assistants. And that is when we are really, really working on the ins and outs of your specific game. Like if someone says, hey coach, like I feel like my backhand or my serve has been like really terrible. Well, okay, then we can go out there and really pinpoint those things and help with those things. Whereas like anything in season wise, like team related, it's more of a team approach. And then, so that's kind of how I do it. It's where we balance the team strategy with the individual strategy and development as well. And that carries on all the way up to when you guys leave for Christmas break. and you would come back. So usually that's like a couple of days before Christmas, and then you would come back at the end of January, and then we are in the main portion of our season. So end of January through till about mid-May. All right, and that is basically zero restriction. We are going 5 or 6 days a week, practicing and playing matches. And in total, you would probably play around 20 dates of competition is the maximum for in terms of team competition. But then when we go into postseason, you're going to be playing more. So yeah, it's a lot of training. And, if you're looking again for that development and trying to be better, every day that you're out there, it's a really good setup for that. The balance piece really just comes with, like, you're going to get a calendar from me that kind of tells you for the whole semester, our practice schedule, the lift schedule, the match schedule. You would have all of that information at your fingertips. Of course, if something changed or anything like that, like, you would be updated, but you have that structure and that routine kind of built in. You know what to expect. The fall, since it's a little shorter, it's a little bit less hectic, I would say, in terms of like the amount of matches that we play. It's a great way to kind of figure out your time management piece, how it's all going to kind of work in that shorter time. And then when we get into the main portion of our season, you're like, oh, I've already done this. I did this in the fall. I have this down. Communication with your professors is important. Communication with me. For example, like, I had someone that had an exam review session, like their professor was hosting an exam review session, and the player wanted to do really well in the class, and it was a more difficult class. Well, if you tell me, hey, coach, like, as long as you tell me like a day or two in advance, not 10 minutes before practice, that your professor is hosting an exam review, I'll let you go to it. Now, what we will do is we would get on court at a different time, or I'll give you a ball machine workout, that sort of thing. And that way it's still fair to everyone else and you're getting work in, but it helps you balance things a little bit easier.
Yeah. Okay, and so it sounds like there's a lot of athletic support there with the scheduling and the kind of smaller group coaching and everything. What about the academics, and what kind of support structures are there to really support someone so that they can achieve what they need to in their academics?
Yeah, so we have something called success coaches on campus. And so any first year student that comes in is assigned a success coach, and they can use them throughout their whole 4 years here. And that person is here to help them with like major exploration, or if they're trying to change their major, registering for classes or study skills, time management tips, really anything. You can go and talk to them. Oh, note-taking strategies is a really popular one, stuff like that. And they're great. They are always willing to work with the students. We actually have a big partnership with them in the athletics building, and they come into our meeting space for students twice a week. So you don't even necessarily have to go to their office. You can just come to the building for athletics, and usually that's where students already are anyway, so it works out. And then we have the Career Development Center on campus. So that those professionals help with resume writing, cover letter, writing a cover letter. They will run mock job interview sessions with you if you ask them to do that. We even have a Dress for Success closet where you can go and like borrow interview clothes. They'll help you with the internship search, job search, things like that, which faculty are really good about that too. Like with whatever like major you're in, like talk to your professors as well, because sometimes they have even like more different connections basically. So tap into both. And then we have a writing center and a peer tutoring lab as well, all on campus. And so if you need help writing a paper, citations, things like that. And then the peer tutoring lab is really cool because any kind of historically challenging class at Albright, it has a peer tutor attached to it, and that is someone who has taken the class and gotten an A in it. So you are getting tutored by someone who did well in that class.
Yeah.
So there's a lot here.
Okay, yeah. Just in terms of, and you kind of already did this, but just running us through again, like a week let's say a week that has a competition at the end of it. So what might a player expect to do on the tennis court and in the gym in that week, and maybe with physiotherapy or athletic training as well? How would that go Monday to Sunday, I guess?
Yeah, so our practices, we typically play on Saturdays. So our practices are Monday through Friday. If we're on court for about 2 hours, sometimes a little more, sometimes a little less, depends on the match that we have coming up or whatnot. Um, and then, so that's again Monday through Friday there. On top of that, you would have about an hour of strength and conditioning twice a week. Okay. Uh, and then the matches themselves. So in the fall, we're usually around one match a week, but in the spring, we're sometimes playing up to 3 matches in a week. It just kind of depends, but it usually at least two.
Yep.
And in terms of athletic training, you can use them as much or as little as you want. We have a specific athletic trainer assigned to tennis. So you can go and get, taped before practice, stim, cupping, scraping. If you want to use the ice bath or the hot tub, you're able to do that. Some of the more general stuff, you could see any of the trainers, but like if someone has an injury, they would see our assigned trainer for the sport. And those trainers are at every single one of our home matches, and they come around to our practices as well to make sure if we need something.
Okay. Okay, so people are probably starting to get kind of interested at this point in the program. Can coaches assist admissions? In Division 3, if someone is really keen to come to your school and you like their tennis, can you assist them through that admissions process and support them with getting in? And also, what are you looking for in terms of a tennis player with their UTR or other kind of attributes that they might have?
Yeah. So in terms of like admission themselves, so anyone that's interested in my program, I want to have a call with you. I want to, we'll talk over email, things like that, and then I would kind of lay out the application steps, everything that needs to go with your application. Make sure it's super clear. Of course, if people have questions on any of that, like help them throughout that process. But then really just kind of helping in terms of making sure we get you a fast decision, we get your offer in front of you, and I go to bat for all of my prospective players. Like I don't want you paying an arm and a leg or anything like that. Like it's so yeah. Like I'm gonna make sure that you get the scholarships that as many scholarships as I can get you, and then with that, obviously as questions pop up, I'm always a resource. Like don't ever be afraid to email me or text me via WhatsApp. Like I love questions, so no question is ever a dumb one. So, and again, I'm a resource. Like I want you guys to feel comfortable in the decisions that you make. So, and I'm a pretty transparent, straight shooter. Like I'll get you information on every aspect of the school, not just the tennis. We'll talk about academics, campus life, residence halls, things like that. Like you will have a very clear picture of everything that we can offer you as we go throughout this admissions process. In terms of what I'm looking for in a player, so I guess I'll backtrack first. So like we have a very successful program here. Like my women's team won the conference championship this past season. We made the national tournament, which there's only 49 Division 3 teams that go for the entire, and there's over 440 Division 3 schools. So that tells you how selective that tournament is. And so that we are a strong team. Men's tennis made the semifinals. We played a tight match. We were hoping to make the final. Obviously, that didn't happen, but you best believe we're trying to do even better this year. But yeah, so that being said, like yes, you got to have a decent level of skill, but that's not the only thing that I care about. So I say all the time, someone can be the best tennis player in the world, but if you have bad energy, a bad attitude, like I don't want that person on my team, because something that's really important to me is the team culture and like having an overall positive vibe and good energy on the team, because like we're all here because we found tennis to be fun. We want to get better, and that's something that I really put back into my program. Like, yes, I'm going to make you a better tennis player. You will have some great matches. You will get better, but I want you to enjoy your experience with the team and at the college as a whole. So a piece of that. So when I'm saying these things that I'm looking for in players, so it's going to be, work ethic is huge. You got to be willing to work and give me that max effort, at practices and matches. I'm very competitive. I like to win. It's not all about the winning or the losing. I'm not trying to paint it that way. Like if someone tells me, hey coach, like, I lost that match, but I put in 100%. Okay. Like, then we'll never say anything about that loss. We'll work on some things going forward, but, it is what it is, but that work ethic has to be there. Sportsmanship. Okay. So we're going to respect our teammates. We're going to respect our opponents. And then, coachability. So being open to what myself or my assistants is telling you. And, the thing with coaching is sometimes it's not always what you want to hear, but it's what you need to hear in order to help you get better and progress. And so just being open to that feedback, actively trying to implement some of the things that, we're telling you. And I never expect perfection. No, like what I care about is, are you actively trying? Okay. And then the last thing is just being a good teammate. Okay. So like I said, I care a lot about the experience that I give my players. And let's be real, you guys are going to be spending more time with your teammates than you are with me. So, whether it's in the dorms or going out to dinners, hanging out, so you got to be supportive and good with one another. So just a quick recap. So work ethic, coachability, sportsmanship, and just being that good teammate, good person overall.
Okay. And what type of roster sizes do you have on the men's and women's side?
We keep a roster of around 10 to 12 players on each side.
Okay. Yep.
And that's a number I like to stay at. It helps, again, keep things personalized. It's easier for me to give you that individualized coaching and personal development so that you get better as a player. But also it helps keep the teams close knit. And like I said, we have really close teams. It's a good environment, and that small size really helps with that.
Yeah. And just for those that maybe don't know US collegiate tennis as well, how many line up to score then for the team when you go to tournaments? How many of those 10 or 12 will actually contribute?
So I can play, up to 12 players. I can play up to 12 people. So because we play 3 courts of doubles and 6 courts of singles. So if people have the depth and I think we're going to get a win, like I'm going to put in everybody, I'm going to try to put in as many of my players as I possibly can.
Yeah.
Now, if we are playing a very, very strong team and I'm not as sure, then maybe I do have to put in those top 6 people. But I'm a coach that if you show up and you're working day in and day out, doing everything that I ask you to do, like I'm going to try to get you the most playing time that I possibly can, as long as that work ethic, that commitment, and just upholding those team standards is there.
Okay. And in terms of recruiting players, and particularly if they're international players, what kind of timeline do you look to for that, in terms of, let's maybe speak about 2025s now versus 2026s that you might be recruiting? What would you recommend in terms of an ideal timeline?
For 2025, starting with?
Well, for either, it'd be good to know what position you're kind of in at this point of the year.
So, I mean, like I do have like a couple of roster spots left open for this year. That is, I anticipate within the next month or so, probably 3 weeks, they are going to be full. So if someone is still looking and you're very interested, we got to talk fast. But so that's kind of the timeline that we're looking there for 2025, sooner rather than later. And I'm not trying to rush or pressure anybody, but that's going to be kind of similar to any of the schools at this point. At least anyone that's competitive and trying to plan for their teams and has a respectable program. And then for 2026 is the starting the process now. You're in a good boat. I would say to make sure that you have the most options available to you. If you're starting now, if you could have a decision by before Christmas time or at the latest right after the new year, you're in really good shape.
Very good. That'll be very helpful for our internationals because they always say, how much time do I have or am I out of time? So that's very useful. Okay. You kind of told us already about the athletic scholarship. I guess a question is, if they're not called athletic scholarship, what are they called? Or, is it academic scholarship? Is it merit aid for kind of talents and leaderships? What kind of pots of scholarship do you have at Albright?
Yeah, so it's a mix of merit and academic. So the most of it is going to come from academics, okay? And then we have an international student grant, actually. So there's a piece of it that will come from that. And then merit scholarships. So like kind of, if someone's involved in extracurriculars, or just demonstrates a specific need, any kind of like leadership, extracurriculars, or just specific need, there is some extra money available.
Okay. There. Awesome. Okay. In terms of other needs that you might have for athletic recruits, you discussed a lot of this, a mindset and attitude and so on. What do they need in terms of footage or SATs? And, do you just require transcripts, but is it also an SAT? Do you like match highlights or full matches via video? Just talk to us a little bit about requirements.
Yeah, so I definitely would want to see film from everyone. Basically, I know a lot of coaches are like UTR. I'm not as big into just that number. Like, it's a great starting point, but like, I want to see the film. All right. Because sometimes someone's UTR might be a little bit lower or a little bit higher than what they truly actually are. So film is big for me. And then, so SATs, those are optional. Okay. So for anyone that's coming from an English speaking country, it's optional. So the big things are getting that application in, the transcripts, and then we have like a certification of finances form, but that's just to help people get like the visa and things, and get everything ready for if they're coming here, basically. So the big things are the transcripts and the application.
Perfect. Okay. And is there anything else for an international student who's really trying to make themselves look strong? Is there anything else that you've seen that you think is really a great idea, or, do you like to hear maybe a reference from their coach or anything like that? Or is there any way they can stand out?
Yeah, so with me, if people can provide their coach's contact, that's always really helpful. From an admissions standpoint, when you're working on that application, doing like a personal essay can be really helpful. It just helps give them a more complete picture of who you are as a person, and can help with some of the merit-based scholarships and stuff like that.
Excellent. That's good advice. Students often, they see that space and they wonder, should I really fill the space, or should I just make a few sentences? But that really helps to know it can help them get more scholarship. Okay. We don't have too many questions left for you, but I was wondering just, a little bit more on the campus more generally in the local town and so on. What opportunities are there for students either to do recreation outside of tennis, or opportunities for leadership or community work? Just kind of what else goes on in and around campus?
Yeah, so we have a whole office dedicated to student activities. So they are planning events around campus. They do big prize bingo, which it's funny, like people will be like, bingo, like, why is that exciting? No, I promise it's huge here. You can win TVs, PlayStations, electric scooters. Like that's why it's exciting, and people have a great time with it. They do movie nights, trivia nights. They actually organize special trips to places like Washington, D.C., New York City. We just had a group of students go to a Broadway show in New York, and it's kind of first come, first serve. You have to sign up on the list, but the transport and the ticket is free. Like if you buy a lunch or something in the city, you have to pay for that, but most of it is paid for by the school. So they're always doing little trips. And then there's student organizations as well. So clubs and things that students can get involved in. There's over 60 of those. And some of them are major related. Like we have a biology club, a business club, but we also have like a book club, a film club, a hiking club. So there's like also like a board game club as well. There's so many different things that you can go and be involved in. Like if you have an interest in it, like you can go and check out like the offerings and kind of see, oh, I might want to be a part of that. Like you're not going to be bored here, one, on campus, but then two, like I mentioned with the city of Reading, but then just the other cities around. Like there is always some sort of festival happening or a concert coming through. There's a comedy club as well. Like there's always something. That's one of my favorite things about this area is, it is a very lively place. Also for tennis specifically, something that's nice is there's a really large tennis community here. So there is a lot of tournaments. So like in that off season, for example, If they want to go and play some local tournaments around, they can absolutely go and do that. Some of the stuff's only within 10 minutes of campus, and a lot of my teams go, or a lot of people from my teams go and play in those. So if you not bringing a car, of course, like you're able to go and hitch a ride with some people on the team, and it's really easy to stay in that tennis scene. And I wanted to mention that because that's not something that you get everywhere, to have so many tournaments and places to play around.
Yeah, it does sound really well supported there. Final question from me, but I know some of our audience may write in questions. Just in terms of preparing for life beyond graduation, do you have any stories, of players, student athletes that have gone on to something successfully in their career after their time at Albright?
Yeah, so we have, I've been here 4 years. So just in my 4 years here, I've had people go on to vet school. Somebody just graduated from vet school. And then, she's really excited to kind of get out there, start her practice, all of that.
Did you say vet school or med school?
Veterinary school. Sorry. We do have people in medical school currently as well, pharmacy school. Someone just graduated from their master's in social work program, and they're working for the state and doing a lot of youth group type work and really making an impact in their community. We have people on the business side that have started their own businesses. And then let's see, so people that are in accounting, that are working at some big financial firms. We have people that are at the school as a whole. We've had people that have gone on to work for the FBI, Homeland Security. Google. We have somebody working at Google. That's not tennis, but that's just specific, around the school. So there's a lot of really good opportunities here, connections that you can make, and it's a good place. We have a really good system. So we have a whole faculty committee based off majors where from year one, your advisor is going to meet with you and talk with you about your career goals. And if you don't know yet at that point, that's okay. You're going to have other opportunities to talk with them. But they kind of get a sense of what it is you think you might want to do. And as you go throughout your time here, that faculty committee and your advisor will meet and say hey, these are some things that you're doing really well in, but here's some areas that you need to kind of grow in and make your portfolio more complete, so to speak. And that way, when you are applying for jobs that senior year, you are already set, ready to go. All those bricks have been laid, and that is kind of why we have people in things like veterinary school, med school, people that have gone on to work for Google, the FBI, really impressive agencies. So the connections here are really good.
Very good. Someone has messaged me in a question just saying, does that mean you have a pre-med track that you can take there at Albright?
Yes, and it's really popular. That's one of the reasons biology is so is one of the top majors here. So our acceptance into medical school is 96%. So yeah, as long as you have as long as you keep up with your grades, it's 96%. So.
Excellent. Okay. At this point, that's kind of all I had for you, but I'm going to just invite those that have been listening to perhaps type in their questions, and we can just see if anything comes through as a follow-up question from them.
I love questions, guys, so please send them in.
We'll give it just a few minutes. It can take a little while for people just to remind them to just find the conversations function. Whilst they're doing that, potentially, I just wanted to ask you, where are you guys at this time of the year in the season? So what do you have kind of coming up, and is it playing this weekend, or what does the rest of the term look like, semester?
Yeah, we are kind of in the bulk of our season now. So we have a match this Thursday, a match on Saturday, a couple of matches next week, and then April. All of that was non-conference to really kind of prepare us for our conference play. And all of conference play happens in the month of April, and that is when we are battling for top spots within the conference to go and make the postseason tournament. Like I said, hopefully winning that conference championship again, and making that national tournament. So we have a lot of matches coming up, and the women's team is undefeated so far. The men, they're 4-3, but they've been battling it out pretty toughly, so they've been doing well. they had a tough, really both sides had a tough schedule.
A student has messaged me and just asked, for those midweek matches, if you have to travel, do they get special allowance if they miss classes, or can they get an extended deadline, or how does that work with time missed in the classroom?
Yeah, great question. So in terms of extended deadlines, we try to avoid that. Normally what we say is, hey, like try to get your work in that, you know, either that morning that your class is supposed to be or the night before. But we have had some extenuating circumstances. But the big thing is communication with your professor. You're not going to be penalized for missing a class for a match, as long as you communicate with your professor and say, you know, like what I have. So for example, what I have all of my players do is they print out, they email, and they also print out the match schedule, and they highlight the specific matches that they would miss class for that specific professor. And then they remind them like the class before. Okay. And, you know, I would say do that via email, and then also in person, just saying, hey, like making sure that you saw my email. And, you know, once those steps are followed, we've never had any issues. And the professors are very supportive. And the extended deadlines tend to happen for things like exams. Like if we have a match on a day where someone's having to leave early on a day that they have a test, okay, that's when, all right, you talk with your professor and you find a mutually agreed upon date. Sometimes they want you to do that before, though. Other times they're fine with it being a day or two after. It just kind of depends. So, but yes, that flexibility is there. The communication piece is key, and you know, you have to take your classes seriously. But as long as the professor, you know, like you're putting an effort and communicating with your professor, we have never had issues. And just to kind of really put it in perspective for you, like we have professors come out to our tennis matches to come and support, like, so, you know, the athletes do carry a lot of credibility on campus, and actually the athletes have the higher GPAs out of the whole student body as a whole.
Excellent. Someone has just written a few simple words. It just said rackets and stringing ? I guess they're meaning, do you provide equipment? Do players bring their own rackets? Can you help with stringing there?
Yes. So you have to bring your racket, okay? Now, here's what I can give you, though. So I have some partnerships with some big tennis companies. So I don't know if you've ever heard of Diadem Tennis. So I can get you discounts on all of their rackets, their bags, apparel, all of that. So anywhere from 30 to 60% off on each thing. That's you know, that's with Diadem. And then we have from Tennis, which is a wholesaling tennis company that carries all the brands. So Wilson, Babolat, Yonex, all of that. And same thing, shoes, rackets, you know, things of that nature. I can get you those big discounts on. Now, in season, I provide stringing. Now you do have to use Diadem string, which if you don't use Diadem string, you would get a whole bunch of demos to try at the beginning of like when you come in as a freshman. And you would find something that's comfortable to you, and we would make it work. Now, if there's something, if I had a player that just really, most people love the string. Honestly, they find one that works for them. But like if a player doesn't like it, I'm not going to force you to play with it. But it does mean that you do have to buy your own string. But we do have, you don't have to really pay anything for the physical stringing piece, just the string itself. Grips are provided. All your uniforms are provided. You get two sets of uniforms and a hoodie. Anytime we're traveling, like all the food is provided to the meals. If we're staying overnight, you don't have to worry about hotel costs or anything like that. But the big thing is the discount. So it's like, if you want to go, you know, buy some extra rackets or anything like that, like you are going to get basically half off. Like it's big. Not every school can offer that. So.
Okay. And I think this is the final question for now, the last one that's come in. Someone has just asked, do all your players live on campus all the way through? And if they do live on campus, then do they all eat in a dining hall, or is there kind of apartments where they can cater and cook for themselves?
So we do have some commuters, so people that will live off campus, but the vast majority of the team and really the campus as a whole, people do live on campus. They find it more fun. They like it. In terms of living, or I mean like eating, you know, so it depends on where you live. So some of the dorms will have a kitchen, all right, but your freshman year, you're more in like the traditional style housing. There isn't a kitchen there. There is like a sink, and you get a mini fridge and a microwave, all of that, but it's not a full kitchen where you can cook. So you do make sure that you have a good meal plan, which if we got at that point in the process, I give additional guidance on all of that. But we have a lot of places to eat on campus. So there's the main dining hall that there's like 6 different stations within the dining hall. So there's always a salad bar. There's always like a grill that has like chicken, burgers, things of that nature. There's always like pizza or pasta available for more of the picky eaters. But then there is some stations that are vegan and vegetarian based, as well as kind of like 2 to 3 home style cooked stations. Okay, so like those are more of the meals that you might see at home that you would have a lot of options with. And the menu changes, I mean, for lunch and dinner every single day. There's breakfast that's served as well. Yeah, so like you could actually go online and look at the menu every single day and see if you want to eat in the dining hall. And if you're like, I'm not feeling that today, okay, well then we have a kind of like a health food cafe on campus in our athletics building. That's a really popular place with the athletes. You can get smoothies, flatbread pizzas, wraps, salads, things like that. There is, I kind of say like campus Starbucks. It's technically not a Starbucks, but there's like, a little cafe where you can get your coffees, your pastries, or just like a quick bite to eat type thing. And then there is Jake's Place, which has several different restaurants down there. So again, there's some healthier options. There's and then of course some unhealthy options. But you do have quite a bit of options here on campus. Like you're not going to go hungry. And if for some reason you're like I'm not feeling eating on campus today, there's some restaurants that are within walking distance of campus that you could go to as well. But I think on campus, you would be pretty happy with the dining options. I can say I've eaten everywhere on campus, and I'm not going to sit here and say that every little thing I've had was phenomenal, but there is a really good selection on each of the places that I myself really enjoy. So
perfect. I feel like you've given us a really good insight just to life there, all the things that there are to do. And I think it's been excellent. I think I'll expect some students to definitely reach out after this. So at this point, I'm going to say thank you very much. I'm going to remind people that we will have the follow-up resource, the video, and we can also link them directly to you if the timeline and the grades and everything stack up. So I'd be glad to do that. So thank you very much for your time. Enjoy the rest of the day. I know it's probably just gone lunchtime there, but yeah, have a great week. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.